it's still hard to believe that I'm standing here holding the match set to the buck that we call Skinny. This was one of my top goals for this spring in March, was to find these two antlers. And we weren't even going to look until March. Most of our bucks hold their antlers until at least the last week in February, or the first couple weeks in March. So we typically don't even look until about the second week in March, but every year is different. And my dad went out to check trail cameras on January 27th, and he dropped both of these antlers right in my food plot, right in front of one of my cameras. And it is so hard to find a match set, and to find the set to one of the biggest deer that you have, and one of the deer that you're most excited about. I mean, it's just crazy. This is surreal. This bigger side here with the G4 is 74 inches. He did have about a 3-inch brow tine right there. This G2 is 12 inches, a little bit longer than the one on the left. Just a little chunk out of there, nothing really broken off, but a little tip broken off here. Again, on the right side here, he's just got the small, hopefully he'll pop a better G4 on his right side here next year, but he's just got that little nick right now. Did break off 2 or 3 inches right here, and then this was about a 3-inch brow tine as well. And I named him Skinny last year because he's not a real massive deer. He actually did put on more mass this year than what he had last year, and I have his right side from last year. So this antler, as it stands right now, is 58 inches, and he did break off about 5 or 6. So, call it 63. His right side from last year was 58. So 58 here, 58 here. You can see he had awesome length last year already, and you can see how long that main beam is, not broken off there. If you put everything on him that he had initially and give him about an 18-inch spread, which I think he probably had pretty easily, 17, 18, he's right at 160 inches. So realistically, from 4 to 5 years old, if he pops more extra stuff, puts on a little bit more mass, I don't really know how much longer you can expect him to get, but if he pops this G4 up, I mean, we're definitely looking at a deer that's going to be gross in the mid 170s, and maybe bigger. It depends on what he does, but this deer could be crazy, and he's just absolutely going to be one of the biggest framed looking deer that we have ever seen on the property. Let's talk Skinny in 2020. The pictures that we got of him late summer, we knew that this was an awesome deer and one to watch. But we knew that we weren't going to take him in 2020. We had a couple awesome deer on the property at that time. We had the 5.5-year-old, the Big 10, that I was able to harvest on October 21st. And then we had the buck that came to be known as Phil Collins, which my dad was able to take on October 26th. And so, Skinny, he was free to do as he pleased. We basically took the 2 biggest bucks out of there, had his run of the does for the most part. There were some other big deer in the area, but it certainly took the pressure off him, and I think, ultimately was somewhat of a factor of him staying and feeling so comfortable on the property. 2021, he really blew up, and fortunately we do have some great footage of him. It probably made it easier to pass him because he did break these brow tines very early in the year. Really, the first opportunity that we had at him was myself, Sunday morning of the gun season, and there he was. I got the camera on him, and it was like a surreal moment, and I easily could have shot him with my rifle, broadside, 75 yards, maybe even closer. You know, I never ranged it, never stepped it off, but it was just so cool to watch him, and just knowing how majestic of a deer that this guy can potentially be. I couldn't bring myself to shoot him because I want to see deer reach full maturity, and to knock this guy down before he could potentially be one of the biggest deer that we'll ever have on the property, I couldn't do it. So let's look at Skinny in 2021.
I'm gonna let him walk. Is he gonna come right in here?
January 1st, Dad and I were sitting out on the food plots. We knew that Skinny was very regular in the Big Sexy, and then going out to this alfalfa field, and we got to see him again. We are so lucky and fortunate to have this deer living on us as a homebody on our property, to watch him grow for another year. He could just be incredible. Whatever hunter is lucky enough to harvest this buck, if that happens, that is going to be special. I want to thank you for watching, and certainly invite you to come along on this journey. Cheers.